For the past several years, whitetail hunters in the upper Midwest throughout the northern Great Lakes regions have been wondering when we're going to see the whitetail deer populations rebound and get back to where they used to be back when our harvest totals were higher and when we used to see more deer. The past few years has brought a lot of damage to the deer herds in these areas. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the two largest driving forces behind that decline, and that is timber wolves and winters. So, to begin with the bad news is that we continue on with our anti science approach to wolf management in the upper Midwest. Sadly, we don't let science and biology drive wolf management, but rather we let politics and emotion drive it. For example, here in Minnesota, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service had a stated population recovery goal several years ago of 1,200 to 1,400 animals. Then the state of Minnesota wanted to take it a step further and said, we're going to buffer that and bump that recovery goal up to 1,600 animals. And as we all know, the wolf population here in Minnesota has exploded past that and now sits somewhere double that, around 3,000 animals, according to the Minnesota DNR. Now, some might call this a massive success, and rightly so. The endangered species protections brought timber wolves back from near extinction many decades ago, and that's something to be celebrated. But instead of celebrating it, we are now using that threatened and endangered species list as a political weapon to keep these wolves for emotional reasons on the list and thus not allow any hunting seasons whatsoever to take place on the gray wolves in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes areas. And to add insult to injury here, the judges that are putting the timber wolves back on the threatened and endangered species list, like what happened in February of 2022, I would make a bet that that judge has never, number one, seen a timber wolf with their own eyes in the wild, and number two, certainly would never go camping with a beloved pet in wolf country if it came down to it. Now, to be clear, I don't want to see timber wolves eradicated. I think they're a really cool animal, and I like having them in northern Minnesota. But what I do want is a rational and science-based approach where we're allowed to have a hunting season where a handful of wolves can be taken every year, like we did back in 2013 here in Minnesota. And I know seasons were held in Wisconsin and Michigan as well. A closely monitored, well-managed wolf season would generate revenue for the state of Minnesota. It would bring a lot of enjoyment to hunters that want to pursue these majestic animals. And furthermore, it would reinforce the necessary wolf-human interaction dynamic where wolves have a renewed sense of fear of humans. That's a really important thing, and I fear we're losing that dynamic. I've had a couple of instances in the wild myself where I've encountered timber wolves on foot in clear cuts up in northeastern Minnesota. And I can tell you guys, they did not run away. They walked away and did not seem afraid of me at all. So that is a concerning thing. And there's many documented cases of grouse hunters having these same odd encounters with wolves, snowmobilers, where the wolves are not showing any fear of humans. And of course, many pet attacks where they're killing dogs. So a wolf hunting season would have many scientific and social benefits. Everybody knows that. But sadly, this nagging injury continues on where there's nothing the state of Minnesota can do or any of the Great Lakes states in order to hold a reasonable wolf management season. Okay, now the good news is we are currently experiencing our second relatively mild winter, at least in northern Minnesota. If we look at the map here, you can see that there are completely manageable snow totals and snowfall levels here in the northern part of the state. Around Lake Superior on the southern and eastern sides of the lake, we do have a ton of lake effect snow up in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Unfortunately, there are some areas of really deep snow up there right now. But for the most part, the state of Minnesota, the state of Wisconsin, we are in a historically low snow amount year. And this comes on the heels of last year, which was what some are calling a 100-year weather event with the minimal snow and precipitation last winter. So as far as the weather goes, that is all boding very, very well for the whitetail herd in the upper Midwest. Winters are a major, major driving force, maybe the largest driving force aside from gun hunting that the whitetail herd faces. So as of now, I'm recording this video in late January, and the 10-day extended forecast does not have any major snow events in the future. That should take us into early February with very low snow here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, other parts of the northern Great Lakes into northeastern United States, Pennsylvania, upstate New York. We are experiencing, on average, a milder than average winter, which bodes very, very well, especially the fact that it's back to back after last winter's incredibly and historic low snow amounts. So, if these conditions can hold out, now granted, we could get a lot of snow in February or March, that's true, but so far we're halfway through the winter and things are looking very good. If this pattern can hold out, that would be 2 mild winters in a row in the upper Midwest, which that alone could turn things around for us hunters up here. I think after last winter, we already saw an increase in the number of yearling bucks last fall, which tells us that a lot of the buck fawns survived last winter. So if all those same yearling bucks can now survive this coming winter, the winter that we're in now, 24, 25, that is going to bode very well for us this coming fall. So again, the wolf thing, it's a nagging injury and it's completely anti-science, our approach, which is a really sad story. But the weather is really working in our favor and helping us out right now. So those are the two biggest forces pushing on the deer herd. If we can keep this up, I think we're going to get another good hunting season, or at least a step to recovery. There's a lot of places in northeastern Minnesota and the UP of Michigan and other areas that have been completely decimated. And I don't use that word lightly. I mean, honestly, decimated deer populations from the severe winters we've had over the last 10 years and the ever increasing wolf populations, unchecked, uncontrolled wolf populations in these areas. So that's what I see on the horizon for us. We got to hold out hope on the wolf front. We do need to get involved and stay active and do whatever we can, as futile as it may seem, to try to get involved and make our voices heard in trying to have a wolf management season at the state level throughout the upper Great Lakes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care, and I will catch you on the next one.